Welcome back to episode 9 of 5 Chapter Rule Season 2. Today's episode will be covering Until Death Do Us Part. Um, this is a series that both of us have read before, but it was interesting to come back to after all these years and see how it started, I guess. Always a hard thing to do sometimes, coming back to these things. So, I guess we start from the top and we'll go to the blurb of this one. So Haru is a 12-year-old girl with incredible
She's got
wow, I was just saying completely
precognition,
wrong
really.
there.
Precognition.
Precognitive.
That was
Bloody
it.
hell, abilities. Basically the precogs and minds report. But her accuracy into the future has made her a target for many number of greedy corporations that will use her power for their own profit. When she is kidnapped, Haruka uses her gift to seek out someone who can help her escape and fixes upon a blind man making his way through busy streets of Tokyo. Though it may seem like an odd choice, Haruka's powers have not led her on, despite his inability to see her chosen protector's fighting skills become apparent when he draws a sword from his walking stick. So, a nice little opening premise. I mean, I think when I initially bought this series back in the day, it was purely on that kind of blurb of the blind swordsman. Always a fascinating one with a modern day kind of plot twist, really. Because although he's technically blind, he's also got technology that helps him see, so it's not really the same, is it?
Yeah, that's shown in chapter 1. I mean, we'll get to that once I do the chapter breakdown things, but we'll get there.
So I guess for the story, for the first 5 chapters, I guess one thing it's different we've got with this manga compared to other ones that we've covered is it very quickly jumps into action and just goes right story time, doof, go in. There's no kind of slow burn.
It's
It's
like 10
just
pages. Like
yeah,
10 pages in.
yeah. Immediately she's in the car, searching for someone using her powers, sees someone, and then suddenly she bails out of the cab, catches the guards off by catches them off guard, I guess, and runs towards him and begs him for his help. While he's testing prototype glasses which connect to his retinas, and they help him. He can't exactly see details of them, he can see outlines of things.
It sees it as like 3D renders, basically.
Have you ever watched the Daredevil movie from like 2005 or whatever it was? That vision he had in that kind of thing, but really computer wireframey.
Yeah, because it's wireframe, because that's what it shows in, like, I think it's chapter 3, that the van stores all the data for his glasses so that it projects the 3D view for him. And since the
Yeah,
computer makes it, that's why it looks wireframe.
basically, yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's just very quick into just like, well,
It's got really good action. I
yes, I
like it.
mean, I don't know how else to explain the story really without being too spoilery. I mean,
All right, I'll go through the
he
first
helped,
five
he
to give you
defends
some
her.
time to think if you like.
Bad guys, bad guys come. He fights for the bad guys, tracks down the Yakuza who's initially stalking her, but clearly there's obviously people behind the scenes pulling the strings. And that's all you really get in the 5 chapters,
So
really.
chapter 1 is where she jumps out of the car to try and find him. She shows how desperate she is. And then it cuts to him, uh, figuring out how his eyes work and doing tests on them. And it projects to his retinas, like you said. And then she finds him, drags him somewhere. And then the first thing he states when he sees them is they walk like Yakuza, so that's what he thinks they are.
Yeah,
And then,
they walk like people who know how to fight.
yeah. and
Mm.
then he's not sure how if he wants to help her, but then he compares her to somebody in his mind, and he's like, you know what? I need to do a combat task anyway, and he just starts going to town on him.
He makes a joke about, so you hiring my assistants, and how long for? And then we get the title of the series, Until Death to Us Part, which he's just like, I pardon.
Yeah. And then he slices a gun apart, which comes up in chapter 2.
I
He's got
guess we'll have to explain that very quickly. Uh, so along with the sci-fi glasses, he also has a sword which has like electric pulse going through it, which causes a
it cuts on
molecumic
the molecular
um
level.
yeah. It's if you ever seen Batman Beyond back in the day, the blue skinned samurai lady who has that sword which can cut through anything
Yeah, it cuts at the
at a
atomic level. Yeah.
microscopic level. It is literally that. Um, although it very quickly blunts the weapon and because it's yeah, so it doesn't last very long. But it's still a cool kind of thing because it's done the sci. It's done like a realistic technology point. The series does spend a bit of time like explaining the science behind it. Clearly, we couldn't do it today, but you could see how they could do it a few years down the line,
And after
rather than other series where it's some kind of bloody bullshit superpower.
then after he crushes all the what are presumably Yakuza, he asks
Yeah,
her about her parents, and then she breaks down in front of him. And then it goes to the Yakuza's side, and it states that she has over 90% record with her precognition, so she's almost always right.
yeah.
And then that's when it shows that that was probably why she tried to jump and find him in the first place, because she needed a way out.
Yeah.
Then chapter 2 introduces the police people who are trying to go after him, and that's when it states that it cuts on the molecular level, and he tries to put the gun back together again, and he states it's cut so fine that the gun works perfectly, you just can't shoot with it.
Yeah, because the blast would cause too much movement.
And then the only other thing I put for chapter 2 is she sneaks up on him, because he's blind, and takes his glasses off, and he does not take that well.
I don't really blame him.
Because it's like he doesn't like being surprised, and it's like how he got blind in the first place. You think, oh, well, the stuff he's had during his life probably flashed up then.
But he's got burns around his
Yeah.
eyes.
Then chapter 3, it states that his sword uses the film, and it wears off the more it's used. And then the guy on the earpiece to him, the one who is in the van, states all of the lady's backstory.
Yeah, so I guess we should explain his name now. His name is what the guy in the van's Rotoro, and our swordsman's called Mamori. Yeah, and the detective is Genda, which I guess we'll have to deal with. He'll be clear. Well, yes, he is very important to the storyline down the line. I mean, there's no point in us pretending like, oh, we don't know, because we
Yeah, because
do.
we only meet the guy in the van in chapter 3. After she
Yeah,
decides to go buy 4 lottery tickets just to show how accurate she is.
and get some money.
Yeah. And then
I think she was trying to pay him back.
she asks them who they are, and he says a murderer, and the guy in the van says allies for justice. So you sort of
Yeah.
get the gist of who they think they are. And then the last panel of chapter 3 shows really cool renders of the van layout. I kind of appreciated that.
Mm.
Of like how things are. Then chapter 4, he goes on a rampage to try and get the people who put the hit on her, where he can he does actually cut a guy through a wall, because he can see through the wall, and just puts the sword immediately through the wall and just cuts his hands off.
Yeah, he cuts off a few fingers, stabs some for a foot, but generally he's not like trying to cause any
No.
severe harm. It reminds me of Rurouni Kenshin in that way,
As
where
guns can actually really hurt him because he can't see them with his vision.
Yeah, so he cuts guns in half, but
Because he states that there later on because there's traps like grenade traps, and he can't see the wires for them, so he has to think out of the
no, he
box
won't
to
be
do
able
that.
to know. Yeah, I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, he does try not to cause too much damage to
Yeah.
people.
And then in one of
Although,
his other
except that one
yeah, go on.
Gambos.
Yeah, then one of the other tricks he has is like a chemical that emits sonic waves, ultrasonic waves, so he can see better for 5 minutes with his
Yeah,
vision.
that's quite a cool thing, that
That's,
was.
that's actually pretty cool.
Throughout the series, there is quite a lot of cool, like, gadget things and technology things you come across throughout the series, which is, a slight spoiler, but yeah.
I think it's in chapter 4. She states that he has to look out for a falling wall. That comes up in chapter 5, right at the end.
Oh, yeah, she does, doesn't she?
Because to him, anything falling would look like a wall because of his vision.
Oh, yes, because he won't be able to see the depth. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, yeah, that's
He
coming
also
back to
mutes
me.
the audio when he's torturing the guy so she doesn't have to hear him suffer. That's fine. And then in chapter 5 introduces the cool bit of the online collective. The people
Yes,
fund
the
the people funding his group is like an online collective of like victims
victims.
and scientists who just want change, and that's why he has
Yeah.
the cool sword and glasses.
Yeah,
I think that's
the
kind of
people
cool.
have lost loved ones
Yeah,
to various crimes.
yeah, because the man's like thinking it shows a guy who's lost his daughter presumably, and he's on
Yeah,
the
it shows
forum about it.
and his wife by
Yeah,
looks of it. It shows a faint image of it. He looks back at an empty pram and
yeah.
it shows
So
an
the
image
collective
of
is
his
trying to
wife.
make change by putting their technology that they don't really want public into the hands of somebody who will use it for the public and get things done.
Yeah.
Like they think they've been betrayed by like the police system, so they'll hire him, give him the technology, and go, "There you go, kill that guy for me." But that was my favorite. That's probably my favorite part of chapter 1 of the first 5 chapters. To be fair, the
Yeah.
concept of the collective itself is just really cool.
We've seen a few where you have the kind of vigilante victim group kind of thing, but I think they've done a quite good job with how they laid out this one, to be
Oh, I
fair.
think so. Because it also later on, I mean, we know it, but later on it can state splinter groups within the organization and what
Yeah,
technology
because
is used
like
for what.
some are more vengeful than others.
Like since it's also a collective, the police can find out certain people in the collective and find information and stuff. There's so much
Mm.
potential. I just found it really cool.
It's a quite a good, it's a very good series.
Yeah,
As I've read the entire thing, I have them all on my bookshelf.
I haven't read the
I
end. I'm
guess
missing a few.
I think for the first 5 chapters, I think it's a pretty good run up because you get straight into the action. You get to see a bit about some of the main characters, about showing off the technology. It's going to be a lot more
Yeah, it shows the
technological
technology, how
based.
they're getting it, where they're getting it from. Introduces the main character as well. The police that will potentially be going after them later.
Does a good job of setting up things, compared to some of the other episodes that we've done. So on the basis of the characters, we'll start off the last, as she's the first one we see. We don't have too much about her just yet in the first 5 chapters, other than she's a fairly average 12-year-old girl. Maybe a bit stronger because clearly they've killed her parents. Um, and she
It doesn't state specifically that they do, but the guy in the van, the tech guy, can't get
knows.
contact with them or find them anywhere. So it's just basically they are dead.
They
So
were last seen with Yakuza, never seen again.
yeah,
Kind of dead. Um, Apparently, I think how the preog abilities for her have been done. I like it because it's not too. It doesn't feel like it's ever going to be overpowered. You know what I mean?
and it also states it's not 100% accurate.
Yeah, it's not 100% accurate. It's not 1%, and it's not like I can see everything. I can see key things. I can see certain
Yeah, and
things.
it's not stated how far she can see ahead, but I don't think it's vastly far.
Yeah, I think I might as well say this bit, but it is revealed later down the line that her powers are more accurate and more regular the closer she is to someone. So as she forms bonds, she sees more potential dangers and stuff that they come across, like a double-edged sword, which is actually quite interesting. So I mean, the series does go with this aspect about her quite well, I think. So we've got
Yeah,
Mamori.
I'll just quickly go. I really do. I kind of like the main guy. He's not.
Mm,
He's not brutish. He knows what needs to be done. He doesn't go too over the top. You can tell he has some sort of training because he's
he's
all right with
clearly
the
got
sword straight
kendo
away.
training. You kind of can tell that.
Yeah, he can recognize Yakuza, so you know sort of what his background is.
Well, he's probably been dealing with the Yakuza quite a lot
Yeah,
if he's been helping the
yeah. Main
vigilantes.
lady is just standard. It doesn't state a lot about her. It's just that just she doesn't have a family and she's got precog powers. So we'll just. So I thought we'll just go
Okay,
straight on to the main guy since there may be more to talk about with him.
yeah. Like I said, he definitely he's not. He's got a lot of like parts that you could see stereotypical, but at the same time, he doesn't feel like a stereotypical protagonist you get in these kind of series.
No,
He's not. He's not too silent. He's not too stubborn. He's not too. Oh, I'm the badass. He's a
it's also
mixture of
like
things.
he don't feel sorry for himself as well. You can tell that like, with his vision and stuff. Apart from when she took his glasses off him, he's completely fine with it. And it's fine that it starts off that way. You don't need to know how he got the scars, just that he has them.
At least not for now. Yeah, that's one thing I do like about series. He don't like it's definitely not focusing on the He's not a victim.
No,
Um,
because you'd
and then
assume that if he's been in that the world of darkness sort of thing, that he probably had it coming. He probably did.
harsh.
He goes around butchering people, not as much in the first
Yeah.
five, but
Now we probably didn't originally.
you don't know that from the
Um,
first five though.
I don't remember. I don't remember exactly.
I
To be
don't.
fair, it's been a while. The next other ally we have is Rotaro, who is the tech guy. He's the tech guy in the van,
Who knows how the tech
and
works? Yes.
he likes wearing braids on his head. Don't think there's much at this point. We don't have too much about him really.
He was also sort of surprised that Mamoru decided to mute the audio, which was weird.
Yeah, because he, I think he hints that as like, oh, you're showing a lot more care.
He also says, "Oh,
Someone
so he
else's
knows this is
feelings.
being recorded because it is.
Yeah.
Because the people who are funding him would record the conversations and things."
Oh yeah. So yeah, yeah. He might not want to have them know that he's been a bit harsh. The last guy, he's been fairly fair on all the people he's taken down. The last guy, he's a bit more brutal with. So I guess we get to see a bit more capacity of brutality
Yeah, he
that he
severs his
could do.
tendons in his arm so he can't use a gun again, doesn't he?
Yeah, severs tendons arms. Like you'll regain ability to like tie your shoelaces possibly, but you'll never have enough grip strength to pull trigger. It's a clever way of disarm, and then it says like, oh, was it? Next, I'll come for your legs if you
Yeah, but
continue.
then it's like, did he want to do it that way, or was he asked by the collective to do it that way?
Oh no, because this raid is the raid on the people who Yakuza who are chasing
I
after.
mean, like, have they told him not to kill as much as possible, or I don't know.
That's a possibility because at the end of the day, you can't be a heroic group if because like at the end of the day, they're trying to stop the one was it Senathan
Yeah,
We're
there's only so
trying
much they
to
can cover
reduce
up.
the amount of victims. But if you kill bad people have kids, so you're creating victims. So it would make sense if they said not to kill. Um, so that's all the really character aspect we've got there. When we come to design, I think design is fairly straightforward so far. Everyone is set in a modern world, so everyone's wearing modern day kind of clothing, what you would expect. No other sort of fancy thing. The sword looks like a cane sword. You don't really see much different about it. And he's wearing shades which have the technology hidden in it. So there's no specific design aspect there. And art wise, I think the art is pretty solid.
I really like the
The
artwork.
the characters are quite well done out. You can see all the emotions on their faces quite well.
I think it looks cool when it goes to like the 3D renders of his vision and things.
Yeah, it's less shade. It's not too heavily shaded. It's a lot of like sudden black,
Because
sudden white
there's
kind
certain
of aspect.
panels which will show you just exactly what he's looking at that time. Like
Yes, the
when he's looking through
wireframe
walls and
aspect.
through the floor and stuff. It's real cool.
I do like the wireframe aspect of it because you know that now it might be easier to do with art stuff, but think about it, you'd have to draw all those lines on these panels.
It would
You
be a
think,
pain.
oh, that'd be quick and easy to do because you don't have to do the line and you actually no, drawing lots of straight lines where it doesn't look like to make it look like it's being done accurate in the computer, that could take a while.
I mean, it may have been done with 3D renders because certain mangaka do that.
Yeah, but how the drawings are done, looking at some of these characters, they're not 3D. When
Just
I
certain
always
things like
find like
backgrounds are usually done like that.
is it Kubo for example? You can sometimes see with his stuff that it's drawn over a 3D pose.
I
This
know
can
certain people do that for backgrounds, but not a lot of characters.
yeah, sometimes some people do it for complicated poses, but you can still tell because of certain curvatures and whatnot. Generally, these are very flat. I would say these are just purely 2D.
Yeah, I think it does look
Um,
really nice, this series.
yeah, I think the art is done well. Um,
It's also
obviously,
long enough that you can tell the progression from chapter 1 to the final chapter of how much better at artwork they get. I like that.
oh, it's been a while. It's a bit like it's a yeah more shade in right at the end.
It's like he's figured out what the characters look like more towards the end and then is easier at drawing them.
Yeah. Um, I think there's not much else to say really there.
No, we've
Um,
gone through the first 5 chapters. Well, sort of in depth of what happens when.
yeah, I mean at the end of the day, it's harder to do, I think, a series when we do these episodes. It's just somewhat a bit more awkward in some ways because I know I read the entire series and I think you read majority of it.
No, I got about a
It's
quarter
very
in.
hard to go back to the first 5 chapters and go and try to base we come up with conclusions of where we think it's going and whatnot based on the 5 chapters.
In a way,
Very
though, we
hard to
can
do that
because we
when you
can't remember what
know
happens.
exactly where it's going because you've already read it.
Yeah, I can't remember anything that happens, so I'm fine.
The thing is, when it comes to these, the moment I start reading them again, I remember everything. It's like the that one series for our special, the 100 subscriber special, where we covered unappreciated manga. Kuma, I think it was Kuma. I'm terrible at
Akametsu.
pronunciation. I completely forgotten that even existed until you mentioned it or something, and I went, "Oh yeah!" And the moment I looked at it, looked at a few pages, boom! I remembered the entire story, all the chapters that I read. I remembered everything,
I only do
but
that
I
with
need that
certain series that
trigger.
I really like, and then I just remember a lot of it.
Yeah, once I get a trigger to remember it, I can remember everything about it. But otherwise, it's locked up somewhere. Um,
Right then, so without the context of knowing what's going to happen or you've read some more of it, would you have actually read more than 5?
Oh yeah, I mean, to be fair, I flicked through the first few pages when I saw it on the shelf in Traveling Man or whatever, and I went, "Yeah, this looks good," and then bought it.
Well, it ends chapter 5 not sort of like on a cliffhanger, but in the middle of a major fight. So it would be nice just to read more anyway, just to get past that fight. And it
Yeah.
has lots of questions that you would like to get answered.
Mm.
It's interesting in what it does. You need to know more about her precog powers and the organization and why he's doing the things that he does. There's enough there for me to want to read it again, even if I hadn't.
Mm. It's definitely a series I'm happy that I bought. It's definitely one of those.
I think
So a
it's
bit
what,
different.
12 bumper volumes or so.
Oh, looking back up my shelf, it is no, it's 13 bumper volumes.
13 bumpers.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
26 in
context,
Japan.
they're the ones that are like 3 times the size of standard manga
Well,
in
no,
length.
it's literally 2 books. It's in Japan. It's 26 volumes. It's 13 in over here.
Yeah.
They literally just combine two together.
And
And
it's on
that's how
bigger
they do it.
paper as well, which is quite nice. So you can get the cool action shots.
Yeah, it comes in handy sometimes, especially
Oh, that's what we can mention as well. The artwork for the action shots look really cool. You know, like the one pages.
yes.
Like when he draws his sword for the first time, that's a really cool panel.
Aye, it's always how to say it? I find when we read manga, I read a lot of manga. You've read a lot of manga. Are there many series that you can think of which has some sci-fi elements but very plausible?
It's rare.
Very
Very rare.
like this I know from like future chapters in this that they actually reference certain stuff, actual technology which they were trying to make at one point in America. It's like the guy who created the series clearly did his research, and that's something I like about the series because so few do that. I find that, let's be fair, a lot of them are very manga's very well known for it being out there, being very over the top. So generally, sci-fi stuff is generally very far future. Very, I don't think there's many near future ones that I can think
Down
of.
to earth seinen are really rare, yeah.
Yeah. So if you want a down to earth, a little bit of sci-fi ever so slightly, near future sci-fi as we
If
call it.
anybody does read this on our recommendation, just make sure to let us know what you thought about it. Because sometimes when we've read it before, we don't know like the bits to recommend. But I think we've gone through the first 5, and I think we've said it's pretty decent.
Leave a like and subscribe.
No, we're not going there.
We need the views.
It's fine.
We'll have like over 1,200 videos, and we we need the views.
No, we do this because we like reading these, not for views. It's fine.
YouTube's prodding us and going, "You've created so many videos, use up loads of our bandwidth. You need more views. We're not liking it."
And on that bombshell,
Oh, dear me. Yeah. Until death do us part, I guess. Uh, until next time. Goodbye.